This video is going to be a bit of a quick one. It's just one of those sort of curious little things that I wanted to talk about. You see, not too long ago I did a video on the subject of Colliers Wood underground station, and I mentioned the derivation of the name. The name Colliers Wood comes from colliers, which is an old word for charcoal burners, i.e. people who turned wood into charcoal. Not so, said many people in the comments section. A collier is actually a coal miner. To which I say, why not both? So firstly, I have no reason to doubt the explanation I gave in my video. There are places like Elephant and Castle where the name origin is disputed, but every book and article I've read gives the same derivation for Colliers Wood. Unless somebody comes along with really solid evidence for an alternative interpretation, I'm going to stick with this one. Why am I so quick to dismiss the coal miner explanation? Well, because there are no coal mines around here, and there never have been. The soil in this part of London is clay with a bit of glaciofluvial gravel around Wimbledon. That is to say, it is not the sort of soil that has coal in it. Probably the nearest place where coal can be dug up is the Kentish coalfields, but don't quote me on that. The term collier, as a word for a charcoal burner, is first recorded in the 14th century. Charcoal was an incredibly important material. It burns hot and produces far less smoke than wood, so it was an essential fuel for industries like smelting and smithing, as well as being commonly used domestically. It could also be used to make pigments for medicinal purposes and as a component in gunpowder. In fact, Europe used to be far more heavily wooded, but deforestation, in large part for the purposes of making charcoal, changed the landscape forever. In fact, by the 17th century there were concerns that Britain might run out of trees, so colliers were strictly regulated in how much they could cut down. Making charcoal was a delicate process involving heating wood until the volatile elements have burnt off. This heating must be done in minimal oxygen so as not to allow the wood to catch fire. If it does that, you've just got ash. That's no use to anyone. Well, I don't know, there probably are uses for ash, but let's not get sidetracked here. Charcoal burning required skill. Not only was making charcoal a careful balancing act, but if the oven was improperly tended, it could explode. Having what amounted to basically a monopoly on an important resource, colliers gained a reputation for ripping their customers off. How true this was, I don't know. The alternative to charcoal was sea coal, or mineral coal as it's sometimes known now. There is some dispute as to where the name sea coal came from. Some argue that it's because people found lumps of it washed up on the shore. The other was that it was so called because it was brought from the northeast of England to other cities by ship. The term sea coal would gradually fall out of use until it was eventually just known as coal. Restrictions on the production of charcoal meant that coal came to supersede it, particularly after the canal and rail networks were laid out and made transportation easier. Incidentally, a couple of people pointed out that the ships that carried sea coal were also known as colliers. This is also true, but again, that's almost certainly not the explanation here. The River Wandle, which runs through Colliers Wood, is not navigable. Local businessmen did consider the possibility of deepening it in the 18th century, but they dismissed the idea because it would affect the many watermills along the river. Instead, they built the Surrey Iron Railway, which more or less followed the river from Croydon to Wandsworth. TLDR version, a collier, the ship collier, could never have got here. One final point. A couple of people asked if there should be an apostrophe in Colliers Wood. Well, there isn't one now. There may have been in the past, spellings of places did change a fair bit. But these days it's just Colliers, no apostrophe. I suppose if you were to put one there, it would come after the S, because there was more than one collier. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please do leave a like and perhaps subscribe for more if you have not already done so. I would like to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the oven to my charcoal. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.